Houston Health Department is calling today an Asthma Air Aware Day.
Meteorologist Pat Kavlin here to explain what this means for us.
Yeah, so we talk about air quality issues, I would say, on a fairly regular basis during the summer months here in Houston. And we're going to talk about the reason why, and it has a lot to do with ozone particles and how those form. And we'll talk about how that relates to asthma in just a minute. But first, let's talk about what ozone is and how it forms. It all has to do with pollution and how it interacts with the sunlight. So now we're going to go back to chemistry class. We've got our two pollution particles right there. The large particle is nitrogen, and the two red circles, those are oxygen molecules. Well, when these molecules interact with sunlight, the radiation zaps the oxygen molecules off. And what happens is those atoms then become free from the pollutants. Well, when that happens, they need to bind to something, right? So now you've got these free oxygen atoms floating around. The ones that are put together, the double ones, O2, that's just the oxygen gas that we breathe every day. So that's always in the atmosphere. Well, remember, now we've got this free one kind of floating around. That needs to latch to something. It finds that oxygen molecule, and boom, ozone is born. That's O3. So that's three oxygen atoms put together to form that ozone molecule. So what does this have to do with asthma? I spoke to Dr. David Arman. He's from the Sugar Land Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology Center today, and he told us exactly how ozone aggravates asthmatics.
Okay, so ozone is a toxic material. Just like smoke, it has compounds or chemical compounds that are specifically can create inflammation. So a patient that have a chronic lung disease already is definitely in a much worse situation because the inflammation is already there. With the summer, with the humidity, we are never able to get rid of the mold.
And that last part there, very important. It's not just the ozone, but with the humidity here, you also have other things that aggravate asthmatics, mold, pollen. So all of this stuff kind of making for these rough air quality days, and it looks like we could see some more as we go through the next week at least. But it's that sunlight, that intense sunlight. I mean, we haven't really had any rain that really helps to contribute to the formation of ozone because, again, it's breaking apart those pollutants, creating these free oxygen atoms that bind to actual oxygen molecules, and that's how ozone is formed, and that's where the problems start to become an issue.
Yeah, so if you're definitely a person who has asthma, you got to be aware for at least the next week or so.
Yeah.
And then also, I love that science lesson we just got there. That was very helpful. Good.
Chemistry class finally playing a role in meteorology here. So
We learned a lot.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor.
Sure.